Now, the starting moment of the Hangout. I hope you guys are going to be sticking along with me. Um, Apologies for the very abrupt um, ending to the stream. I'm just going to check, see if everything is good to go. I might as well edit the previous stream and cut out what's being said. So, anyways, I have displayed the albums that I have shown from the first stream. Bear with me, guys. I am going to be doing a bit of typing, but to the viewers who are going to come back, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. I'm just going to type some things off. Feel free to say anything in the chat. I would have put some music on in the background just to not make the silence be so constant, but I can't because of copyright. Almost there, guys. Gonna do some tags. Sedition through scorns. I did see your comment, mate. I'll read that off in a minute. So that was a bit of a bummer that it happened like that. But what more can you do? All right, I am going to be back. I'll be back in the chat. Changing the quality. Right, there you go. I'm looking forward to the collab. This year's been really interesting for music, and I hope my albums can inspire everyone to discover new bands from the underground, as well as some popular ones. Yes, that's what I really enjoy a lot from a lot of the past nearly 12 months. There were some albums through different artists that I've been growing to really admire, and yet alone, it's, I think, important to be involved with a new mindset with others, new people who would be getting into music tastes like yours and mine. And the more we discover things, it's going to get better. It's going to get better from the moment you would be listening to something that you've never heard of before, and your first impressions will be, you know, something like, that's awesome, or like, wow, and then you will be getting into it. I think 2023 has been an as great year for new music. But not only that, this year for music is probably as interesting, because I've been listening to a ton of different music to get into different genres and to know what it was like. How can people love this sound? How can people love that band that I haven't had the same reactions previously? That's an introspective and different experience. So when I listen to a band that I've heard great things about, and then to be fully invested in it, that's the purpose of getting into some style or a genre that I will be growing to really like. Hunter, I met a lady from London, UK, and she's a nice lady and nice to me. And British people are very good people. Yeah, I love the UK, but you know, let's just say not everyone is nice. But that's cool to hear, Hunter. We all have our own experiences with different people, but I am very lucky and fortunate to have people who would be, appreciative to me with what I love. And, if you meet some people that are going to be nice to you, then, it's the best of both worlds because it makes you feel involved and it makes the others feel involved. Things will be getting better if you meet someone who appreciates you. Um, and that's another thing. Despite throughout the chaos and the mentalities from what's been going around for the past nearly 12 months, I think 2023 was a different year that I am going to be addressing. After this live stream, I am going to be posting a video on my own thoughts about 2023. Because when I talked about the last year, 22, it was one of my favorite years. And it'll always be one of my favorite years. This one has been a roller coaster. I won't say anything because I do want to keep thinking about why I think this year has been a roller coaster. You can be as honest as you want, and you can say anything with what you want to say by how you feel about 2023. But I will say it's different. It's a different year to what I was expecting. And I don't mind anyone who would be thinking things differently. If they had a great year or a bad year, because every year has its ups and downs, really. But I am always so happy to think about 2022. Looking back at that year, it definitely has been helping me to inspire the continuation of my work as a musician, to be very focused and to be in a controlled, balanced environment. And yet music does always help me. I think there's a weird thing that I've been going in with when it comes to me listening to a kind of music. Yes, I love listening to classic albums, but I've been going through a weird mindset. I'm not sure if it's just me or anyone else will be feeling the same around this. I've been listening to different music to let it do the talking of, how I've been feeling. It's cool to play albums that are one of your favorites of all time, or albums that you love that many people don't like, or if you want to get into a record better than your previous reactions. But lately, I focus more around this mindset of mine. I listen to albums or bands to detail how I've been feeling and what I've been going through. I've been doing that a lot throughout this year. 2023 was a divided year for me personally. Despite seeing Tool over a month ago was a great experience. That was great to read that bit there, mate. And all that. Just the way I've been dealing with things physically hasn't been the same. RJCJ Rock. Welcome back. Good to see you once again. Um, Hunter again, and I'm Southern American, and I've got a Southern accent since I'm from. Um, you're from Virginia, okay? Raised in North Carolina. I hope if that's going to be a long distance relationship, I hope that's going to be going very well. I'm not at all an expert on relationships, but whatever you're going to do, um, just take it in very softly at first, because once you build a relationship up over time, then if it really clicks, that's great. And believe in yourself. I'm in the same way. It's always a great time to experiment genres that are defining yourself as a compassionate listener that likes and wants to interpret, excuse me, based on human emotion and deep thoughts. Exactly that. It's kind of like a philosophical way, and music does have its own phenomenon. Not just because music it's art, but music definitely details a gigantic intensity. The intensity that is, it's like difficult to describe it. The intensity of music when it finds an answer for you, no matter what mood you are going to be in. If there's something that's lost in your mind, bands or songs to me will define the answer that will help you. What are your thoughts on alternative rock band The Smashing Pumpkins? I do love some Smashing Pumpkins. I've listened to Adore for the first time um, over the past more than a few weeks. I think that's a very good album. Despite that, I was not a fan of Sia. The Smashing Pumpkins are one of my favorite bands. I've listened to Siamese Dream, which is at the moment maybe my favorite Smashing Pumpkins record. Of course, there's Melancholy. I think Gish is a really good debut album. I've not heard all of their stuff, and I do give Billy Corgan so much respect. He's one of those musicians that I do think is so appreciative. And besides, through different musicians with dealings around their own struggles through mental health and addiction, Billy Corgan's way of thinking and way of writing can be, I think, powerful. Sometimes when it comes to bands or albums, through mindsets like those, or in a separate soundscape that can be very expressive or moody, that's the type of style which does fit me in, right on board. I love some happy music as well for the joyful, uplifting positivity. But since I was a younger teenager, as I was getting into metal music, most of the time the opposite of directions through emotions is what I have been connecting with the most. Xbox or PlayStation? PlayStation all the way, Midnight Social. I'm not that big of a gamer that much anymore. I still have my PlayStation 2. I'm a big fan of Gish. Cool RJCJ. It has some fantastic deep cuts like Bury Me and Suffer. That one is a pretty underrated album. Sedition through Scorns. Siamese Dream has always been my favourite Smashing Pumpkins album. His detail and articulating minds into writing songs that are intelligent and meaningful is a way to appreciate his story. Yeah. Alternative rock is not a genre which I would really go to so much. But I have no problem for me to say that I am a fan of Biffy Clyro, Reuben, very underrated band from the UK, and Kings of Leon. But with the Smashing Pumpkins, I think they're one of the top giants around the genre. I mean, Reuben is one of the first alternative rock bands that I've really been loving so much. At the time when I wanted to get into music seriously. Bear with me, guys. Is Reuben British? Yeah, they're from Surrey. If you haven't heard of Reuben, check them out. They're on a hiatus for 15 years now. But their genre, alternative rock, involving some sounds of like some bits of post-hardcore. Brilliant trio band. Most anticipated albums for 2024, I have no idea. And I've not been looking into things like this because for 2024, I am going to be interested to see what's going to be, you know, up my radar for music. I'm not sure what I am going to be up to doing for the channel for 2024. I am planning to finish the Mastodon discography and come back to Korn and sorry, notifications. What's another band? Megadeth, that's it. Gonna be like Strong Boys with this comment. What you all been listening to lately? Yeah. What I've been listening to lately, I've listened to a few new albums. I've listened to Danny Brown's new album, which I thought was really good. It's not his best album in ages, because that's going to go over to Atrocity Exhibition. I've listened to Fear Factory once again to get back into the discography, and I'm planning to review this album, Obsolete, very, very soon. Probably I'm going to review this next week, as I've got other stuff to do, mainly for the band that I'm in, Hardgraft. That's been a bigger focus for me, and that's another reason why I've not done reviews after I did my Rolling Stones Hackney Diamonds review, which was, you know, close to a month ago. And then I went back to reviewing albums and talked about Demanufacture. RJCJ Rock again. For someone who isn't that familiar with Mastodon, what albums would you recommend from them? I would start with Leviathan, but my favorite Mastodon album of all time is one of my top 10 albums of all time, Crack the Sky. Now, this one I am going to be reviewing and talk about a lot. I know it has been a long while since I reviewed Blood Mountain. That was nearly 2 years ago, actually, when I reviewed that album. But this album I could go on about for a very long time. This is perfection. Everyone knows about it, and everyone talked about it so much. By everyone, I mean metalheads. Even those who like Mastodon but loves this album. So Crack the Sky is another recommendation. But if you want something that's a fusion with different genres, go with Once More Round the Sun, which I think is very underrated. Blackwater Rust, it's been a while since I've seen you. Hope you're doing great. I occasionally see you through the Metal Meltdowns videos. Let's hope Robert's doing great. I know his birthday was recently happening. Hope he did enjoy himself. But yeah, I would say go with those albums. However, Blood Mountain is another one. Many people would see that as their favourite. Crack the Sky, to me, is their masterclass. Excuse me. I've been listening to a lot of Tybo Negative recently. Tybo Negative are a band which I really do want to dive into once more. I do like Typo Negative. I don't have any album from them yet. RJCJ Rock Again, I will definitely check those albums out. You will not be disappointed. And for some Mastodon fans, they were pretty disappointed with Hushed and Grim, but this is, to me, the strongest album they've done in a long time. And I do defend this album. Some Mastodon fans love this. I don't get it why people didn't like this album. Maybe it's just because of the bloated length of the album to the production. I think those are the flaws, besides a few tracks that I wasn't keen on. But it was one of my favourite albums of 2021. So, there you go. Thoughts on their first album? Remission by Mastodon. I just looked at that before you deleted it. Remission is one of my most favorite Mastodon albums. It's their heaviest overall, and it's got incredible sludgy goodness through production and the intensity through their distortion and their powerhouse of musicianship. Blackwater Rust, every Mastodon album is good to me. Yeah, I don't think Mastodon have made a bad record whatsoever. They're just one of the most, I think, interesting and one of my most favourites. They are one of my most favourite metal bands of all time. If I was going to do a list of my top 10 metal bands, favourite bands, Mastodon's in there. A subscriber, Billy Bishop, has mentioned this to me, though I may have said this from the previous live stream or not. He tells me to do a list of my top 10 favourite metal vocalists. I think that could be a very good list to do. But I will say Ozzy is not going to be in the list, because I never cite Ozzy as a metal vocalist. He's more or less like a rock blues style singer. From the way he sounds in the early days of Black Sabbath, and I think, yeah, just because he's the Prince of Darkness, to me, I think there are favourable vocalists that I love more than Ozzy, but I still love Ozzy as an icon. So I know that's going to trigger some people, but, it is what it is. I won't say my list because I've got to get it planned. I think my list is probably going to be around the different tastes around the virtuosity of people. Um, Dio is much more metal sounding vocalist to me. Absolutely. RJCJ Rock, when you go about buying CDs or records by bands, do you only collect the albums you like, or do you get the entire discography? It does depend if a discography is going to be favorable for me, but I have an intensely high wish list. I've made a wish list of albums I really want to collect. Um, my wish list on my rateyourmusic.com account, Sergeant Pepper's Music Buff, all in one word. But I say when it comes to buying albums on CD or vinyl, like in person, if there's something that I really want, I do want it. But I sometimes will just pick, yeah, I'll just pick that up since it's not in my collection. I know there are some that are like mad expensive, like originals pressings wise. I am very fortunate to have what I have. Yet alone I've mentioned things like this before, but I do take care with the money. I do take care with the stuff that I buy and not go overboard. Yeah, you have followed me on Rate Your Music, Blackwater Rust. Sedition, again, I've been back and forth of different bands musically from Devin Townsend, yep, Alcest, Corpiclani, brilliant choices, and others. So it's been a mix of death, folk, black, and shoegaze. Yeah, excellent selections there. Film soundtracks is another favourite for me to listen to. I've watched various movies, like I've mentioned Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. Then I went to watch The Third Man, which is a late 40s British classic. And then I went to watch the Godfather trilogy for the first time in a very long while, and Goodfellas. To me, Goodfellas and The Godfather, pardon me, are the greatest mafia films of all time. I do love them very much. I know that I've mentioned I was going to do my return to movie reviews. I am promising to myself that I'm going to do my best. The movie I'm going to go into with my return is going to be Taxi Driver. I am interested to talk about films again because films has been a hobby of mine. I don't think I would personally want to go into requests for movies. But speaking of requests, there are some for album reactions that I have not done yet. Someone mentions to me that I would want to do a reaction to Together Through Life by Bob Dylan. I would do that one. Then I am going to be doing an album reaction to Epicus Dumicus Metallicus by Candlemass. I really like Candlemass, but you know, I bought it on CD, the debut album, as well as Ancient Dreams and Nightfall. Nightfall's a classic. But with the first album, I haven't heard it yet. Blackwater Rust, I've been mainly onto the hip-hop listening lately, especially Nas. Cool choice. Midnight Social, what did you think of the two new Judas Priest songs? I've not listened to them yet. I've heard really good things about those two. I'm looking forward to it. as Judas Priest are another one of my favorite bands. So I'm hoping that their new album will live up to its anticipation, like what Firepower was. Goodfellas and the original Godfather are easily some of my favorite movies. The Godfather Part 2 is an amazing sequel. It's one of my top 10 movie sequels, but I don't cite it as the greatest sequel of all time because, it's still known as a classic for many people, but for me, I am always the fanatic of the first film. The Godfather is my personal favorite. Godfather 2 is amazing as well. Yeah, absolutely, Blackwater Rust. I am looking forward to review Taxi Driver. I'm going to do my best because, it has been so long since my reviews on movies have been around. And yet alone, it didn't bother me that the views on those movie reviews were not as high. I don't care about views to be in a mindset and want greediness. What I care about is if people are happy with what I've been posting, if they're interested in what I want to say through a video, that's all that matters. Glad they stopped making Godfather movies after 2. No, Blackwater Rust, you've missed out the Godfather Part 3. You've missed out Part 3. Which I don't think is bad. It's not bad. It's not perfect. But it has been a grower on me. Are there any franchises from Sedition, by the way, of films that fans love that you can't get behind or consider them overrated but appreciating the influence it brought? I think the Scream franchise is overrated. I did not care about the franchise. I've tried. I used to have a DVD box set of the first 3 Scream films. Then I had Scream 4 on DVD. I gave them away. I can't get behind the Transformers franchise. Never interested me. I remember I have the first one on DVD, but that's it. I can't be bothered to get the others because I really dislike Michael Bay's overkill of CGI garbage. It was too much. Taxi Driver, it's been a while since I watched. It's one of my most favourite films of all time. You should watch The Sopranos. Midnight Social. It's fantastic, especially if you enjoy Goodfellas. The Sopranos is amazing. But I hate the ending. I hated the ending from the very last episode. I really was just not having it. I know there are other people who would find a meaning why it was made like that, but when I had watched the last few seconds of the whole show, the last episode ever from The Sopranos, the ending was terrible. It's not that the last scene was terrible. It's just that it cuts out. That's so bad. I can never accept that. But yeah, The Sopranos, despite that ending, was a fantastic show. I've watched others like The Wire. Got too political for me from the last few seasons. Then I've watched all of Dexter. I think season 6 was my least favourite. But Dexter was really good as well. I haven't watched Dexter New Blood. I think that's what it's called. Dexter New Blood. Uh, the new series after the original series. Yeah, I do like TV series quite a lot, as much as movies, but I'm not as very picky or as fussed to watch a lot of TV shows because I'm more of a film fan. Sedition. My favorite movie of all time is Inception. I'm a fan of films that are directed by Christopher Nolan. Yes, incredible director. And for other movies, I like older horror, comedy, and some action here and there. Yeah, I do love some comedy flicks, some horror, but I think both comedy and horror have been off the rails for, you know, not very good originalities from the last decade. Some that are like praised, but a lot of it, it's not worth it. One of my favorite horror films that I actually enjoy that came out um, was Insidious. I have Insidious on DVD. Um, I have heard amazing things on Hereditary. Hereditary. I've heard loads of people see that one as one of the best horror films in ages and one of the scariest films. The Prestige is a massively underrated Nolan film. Um, that is one that I've not watched yet. So I need to get right into that one. It's pretty cool now, the more I think about it, to talk about movies and possibly make it as a constant thing, just like with music. And yet, it's what makes us be us. Blackwater, Pulp Fiction, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail are my two favorite movies of all time. Really good picks. Sedition, Hereditary is one of the best modern horror films I've watched in ages. And part of the problem with today's horror is more focused on psychological themes than actual scares. I don't think a lot of jump scares in loads of horror today have been very well executed. It interests me with the purpose and the themes, but only if it was made correctly. That does intrigue the viewers like myself. Excuse me, because I do think a lot of horror has been um, so subpar to at some points not great at all as it used to be from the last decade. Um, but when it comes to some that involve some bits of comedy or some psychological thrills or whatever, or just horror bits like Parasite. Parasite is an incredible film. That film, also along with Parasite, The Lighthouse, those two films are excellent. The Lighthouse, that ending, that's intense. But it's a really great horror style film. Parasite, I'm a big fan of as well. I think Parasite is one that is, potentially selected as a future classic. Such a great film. Um, The Shining and Blade Runner are my two favorite films of all time. It's really funny, Midnight Social. I've just watched Blade Runner, I think a month ago, for the first time. But the director's cut version, through my dad's DVD copy of it, a proper DVD. I love the soundtrack, but I've always heard amazing things about Blade Runner. Um, it's awesome. So glad I did watch it for the first time. But The Shining is another one of my most favorite films of all time, if not a top three horror for me. But my favorite horror of all time is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that film, The Shining, and loads of people say Silence of the Lambs is a horror film, which kind of is, but it's more psychological thriller to me. Another horror film that I have always loved. I mean, one of them's the original Halloween. I'm a big fan of the first two Hellraiser movies. So yeah, I don't just love horror films, but I have always been really interested as well through some films that detail something as very dark and as atmospheric. Another one of my favorite films of all time is this one, No Country for Old Men. This one based from the novel of the same name. The Coen brothers is a phenomenal one. I haven't watched this for a long, long time, actually. I do have it on DVD as well. But I was pleased to have this on Blu-ray. Yeah, I'm going to revisit this very soon. But here is another one of my top 10 movies of all time, Apocalypse Now. I haven't watched the Redux, the longest version of Apocalypse Now, just yet. I have watched the Final Cut version, which I have on Blu-ray, which does contain the original version of the film and the documentary, as well as the Redux. Excuse me. Sedition. I like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. Top 10 best horror films ever made. Personally, right up there with the original Halloween, Hellraiser, and argue about the first Alien. Yeah, Alien, the first one, is one of the other really great, excellent films. I think Aliens is my favorite. The Thing, Blackwater Rust, is your all-time favorite horror film. That's an excellent remake. It's one of the best remakes I've ever seen. Blackwater Rust, again, the original Alien, is also one of my all-time favorites in horror. It's great that we're like so alike to what I love, but to have a group of people to be thinking around the same things or similar things. There you go. That's better lighting. Clicked on the Facebook tab. Yeah, I would definitely like to go into more around chats like this. Yeah, mainly music, but for movies, you can't go wrong, really. Sedition, the first horror movie I can remember watching that made me a fan was the original Friday the 13th. I think the original Friday the 13th was very, very good, but it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite Friday the 13th film. I also really liked the second one, Friday the 13th Part 2. I haven't seen all of the Friday the 13th films. I haven't seen all of the Halloween franchise, and I am planning actually not to watch the last two Halloween films after the brilliant 2018 version of Halloween, followed 40 years after the original. Despite that, I did see Halloween Resurrection and the Rob Zombie films. God, I hated Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I really did not like The Curse of Michael Myers. I think Halloween 3 is not strong, but I don't mind it. Yeah, Midnight Social, I thought the remake at first was really good. But to me, it's average. I'm more of a fan of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. In my opinion, obviously. Black Wanderlust again. Comedy films have been so disappointing since the 2010s to me. Yeah, it's just awfully lackluster. And, you know, appalling that comedy films nowadays have never really lived up to a lot of potential, as frequently from the today's point of view. Blackwater Rust again, it's like comedy films have just become so bland and also safe. Some of them are so bad. Like, Robert De Niro is my favourite actor of all time, besides Marlon Brando. But I know if I see a comedy that has him in it that looks bad, I'm not watching it. Although I have seen Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, and Little Fockers. Now those films, to me, are very enjoyable. I really enjoy those films. I think Meet the Fockers is my favourite. Sedition, most modern comedy and horror films have lacked in originality, and the creativity became so incredibly dull and repetitive, which to me the mid-2000s was the last good era for the genres. Midnight Social, you can't make jokes about anything now with offending someone. No wonder comedy movies are dying. I think comedy needs to have what's the word? Comedy words of dialogue and films need to have a reincarnation and bring it back up to what it once was, as unique and as original. RJCJ Rock, Creed, worst band ever. They're not the worst band ever. Can't believe they're reuniting. Tremonti, I love your guitar playing. I know he's not watching this. I love your guitar playing with Alter Bridge, but Creed, to me, they're not one of the best aged bands. They're not the worst band ever. RJCJ, the worst band ever. The one band that I have always hated, that I really detest, besides my hatred around Kiss to Guns N' Roses, those bands are not obviously picked for me to call them the worst bands ever. That's way too much of a stretch. I know this is a change of topic here, but the worst band, I mean, Blood on the Dance Floor or Broken Side is annoyingly obvious, because many people say they are the worst band ever because they can just shit on the music, shit on every single one. Besides Psychosexual, or Psycho Sinner, now that the band's no more, they could have been a contender for worst band ever. The worst band ever. It could be them. But another one that I really hate is Immure. I've mentioned them before. They are not relevant and important to me at all in my music taste. Blackwater Rust, comedy needs a major revival. It could be that word. I was thinking revival, but maybe reincarnation was a better word, because, yeah, comedy is really, you know, not, excuse me, not, not rising up anymore to any strengths of originality, as I said, but it's so weak lately. Because the 2000s is the last time I can think of when we had actually great comedy movies. Yeah, I think some of the 2000s does feature some really, really good comedy films. Dumb and Dumber is my favourite comedy film of all time. And yet alone, I've always been a big fan of Jim Carrey. I know some people don't like him, but I always have a lot of respect and admiration for Jim. There were other ones that I do love as much, but Jim Carrey holds a big place. Holds a big place in my interest in comedy films. All right, guys, I'm going to refill, have a drink of water. My throat's very sore, so I'll be right back, guys. Whoa. Right, sedition through scones again. Rush Hour 2 is my favourite comedy, up there with Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and I agree. Jim Carrey, always one of my favourite actors whose respect has been earned big time for what he has given us. Absolutely, I love Jim Carrey very much. Rush Hour 2 is your favourite comedy. I think Rush Hour 1 is my favourite of the franchise. Don't care for Jim Carrey, the person, but Jim Carrey, the actor, I will always love. I think Jim as a person is obviously like being his true self, that he feels. In my defense, Jim does have this beautiful way to be as connecting in an honest and, I would say, very heartfelt way of thinking and expression. He describes depression in a great way, and he's very supportive. You know, besides his magnetic, hilarious, and legendary persona of his performances, I think he deserves so much of this appreciative respect. It's hard to describe, because Jim Carrey is one of these actors that I do admire so much, and I would just go into my bigger reasonings why I think Carrey is one of the greatest actors of all time. Midnight Social, What's your favorite Christmas movie? And does Die Hard count as one? In my opinion, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. That's an argument that is annoyingly repetitive. I know it has been so constant many times, but I don't see it at all as a Christmas movie. And yet the film came out during the summertime. It's not a Christmas movie. And I defend that. It's like pineapple on pizza. Pineapple does not fit on pizza. I love pineapple by itself, but pizza should be left alone. And I don't care about pizza anymore. I've moved on from it. I got sick and tired of it. I hate a lot of fast food garbage. Sorry, my nose is annoyingly itchy. But the thing is, you know, when it comes to questions like that, going into a division of comments, most of the time would be so dividing that it leads into confrontation. But I do wish a lot of people would just want to, accept opinions and, be in a respectable way. It's crazy with the amount of reactions that I've been seeing through my recent videos. It's not big of a deal. I mean, it is a big deal and big news for music fans and the journalists to report. That's why, the recent news on Slipknot has been so crazy. I know I'm going a bit all over the place here, but yeah, with controversial questions, it's very rare and it's sad now that the mindset of anybody's can literally go into the polar opposite of positives and try to affect the other person's opinions and take things way too seriously. And that is not the case. It's only affecting to, what has happened, that the general public should have realized that it's not all about a problem that they have made. It's a problem that did cause friction, but the way we handle things, it's like the whole cesspool, the whole insanity of it all, dividing comments, has been aggravating to me. And I do think with a moment that sounds like it's big news to talk about, the respected behavior has been lost, and it has been that way, I think, throughout the past few months, despite throughout what's been said and done from the earlier months of the year. Sedition Through Scorns. Die Hard is an awesome flick. Sure, it's set on Christmas Day, but there's no definite reason to even explain the argument fans can create about Die Hard being a Christmas movie. Yeah. I think when I was younger, actually, I thought Die Hard 4 was my favourite. I didn't bother with the fifth one because I thought that looked like crap. I've not been interested at all to watch that. But I do enjoy the franchise. So there you have it. Do you understand what I've been saying about that whole situation, guys? Around what I've just said before I went back to the Christmas flick conversation there. And that's why I have said, for those of you who did join in earlier, that I was going to be thinking about posting a video with my thoughts around 2023. That is going to be the follow-up after this live stream. And I know the live stream posts are now placed in a live stream section when I look at the YouTube studio than an actual the actual video section. But anyways, it's crazy for a lot of people to increase so much arrogance to, you know, big-headed and confrontational reactions. That's the point that I thought in the end to relax and to step away from it all permanently. Because the more it was going ahead, I just think, fuck this. You know, let their issues be their issues. Sedition through scorns, most certainly. That's why if there's something on your mind, then you're obligated to share with your audiences, and the comments that contain toxicity, are not meant to be welcomed at all. Just like with my Slipknot video addressing the fans, not all of them, but some of them. I was pissed off when I was in the mindset that I was in to talk about that. And I think for those of you who have seen my post about me making a video on the Slipknot origin, that's going to come, but bear with me. I am going to be taking some time for myself to be ready to come back and make that video and put it out when I can. Because after what's been going around, I thought it would be appropriate to halt it and, you know, let that whole thing be moved on until I would love to continue to make that video. I am more than halfway through it, but bear with me on that. I know it's taking a long time, and research and knowledge is power, but I do want to do my best to keep the video up in development for now and put it up in the best way possible. The best detail, the best information and things that I have learned whilst making that video that I wanted to share with you guys through that topic of the earliest of the story in Slipknot's beginnings. Midnight Social, I wasn't intending to cause any disagreement. I just wanted to see what you thought. That's fair enough. And by the way, thank you guys for sticking around with me when I did that video around the fan base. I am actually pleased that there are people who have listened to what I was saying and have been agreeing with me. I didn't give a fuck about what anyone thought about my opinions, because at the end of the day, right, not only they're just opinions, but sometimes with things like this, they're just not meant to be taken in a very confrontational matter. They're just simple thoughts And yet alone, it's wild that many people's reactions are so indifferent. More importantly, when I just moved on from this whole situation in the end, after that I thought of keeping that video and leaving it up on the channel, I thought after that, that's it for me. So around the Slipknot history video, it's still in development, but bear with me when I am going to be putting it up, because after that mentality, there's going to be a point now that I am going to be taking a break for making Slipknot videos on my channel. Besides the history video, I'm going to do my review for All Hope Is Gone, the ranking, well, imagine a re-ranking. If I would have ranked the discography previously, I'm going to rank the band's discography, but I think I'll put the history of Slipknot video up first. After those 3 videos, then I'm going to move on for making Slipknot videos. And it all depends how I have been feeling from then to the moment that I want to come back and do Slipknot style videos again. Sedition again. Sometimes it's hard to respond to negative comments. I was that way too when people didn't care about my opinions on music. But the best thing to do is never reply, ignore, and carry on. That's the only video on my channel that I've decided to select the option for holding the comments to review, either to accept them and reply, or not accept and remove the comments. I've never done that in any of my videos, but only that one. So, yeah. These various topics are all over the shop at this state. So, yeah, it's just down to the fact that it's not up to what we want to say to fix things. It's just up to what the band's going to do, what other people are going to do, who runs things like this. It's up to what they are going to think about, doing next. Because we don't have that power. We don't have that control. But we do have the right to say opinions in any mindset. And we'll have to, escape from being involved with anyone who would do the unthinkable to piss other people off, because those people are not important. Anyways, I'm pretty much done talking about that whole thing. But when I have said my thoughts on that video, I have meant it. I've meant every single word. Overreactions to big, close-minding, ungrateful assholes, sometimes they just need to think about what they say. And it's a time in their lives that they are not going to take back. It's so simple, but, once you have made others feel insulted, it's like the enemy that is the the insulting person will be called out, will be silenced. I don't care what anyone will be thinking about what I say if they're going to be in that mindset. Because why should I care about everybody? I care about people who are on my side. I do care for people who love what I do. I care about anyone who's interested in what I do. It's super appreciative. And these cliche lines around the internet being a bad place, the world being a bad place, you know, that's all well and good to try and think about positives around this whole situation, but you know, I am my own boss. And if people want to say anything they want to say, let them be their bosses. But when it comes to anyone else who would break these simple rules and the understandings of who we are as people, then to me they would have no rights and no ways to remotely speak out in any acceptance of their behaviors. So for those bad people, they'll hang their heads in shame. That's a wrap with that whole thing. I know I went on a bit longer, but I had to say it. People will have to learn. People will have to change and improve instead of wrecking things that were meant to be somethings that simple and incredibly easy, instead of escalating into madness. Sedition, again, I'm grateful for people like yourself who are accepted and open to talk freely of what you and others want to discuss. And if they don't like it, that's fine. We'll be smarter and stronger. Sedition, again, only very few people I select in my life that supports my endeavors and opportunities. But when something like that comes around, those people can channel upon themselves and not myself. Exactly. Anything else you want to talk about, guys? Zach, good to see you. Oh shit, 1 day until your birthday. Awesome. Can we send birthday messages to Zach Hurley, please, in the chat? Welcome back to these live streams, Zach. Thank you for being here. Once again, just like with Blackwater Rust, Midnight Social, Sedition Through Scorns, and RJCJ Rock. But yeah, I do hope your birthday will be a blast. My birthday is a week tomorrow, actually. So tomorrow's the 29th, and then the week after this week on Wednesday will be my birthday. I don't really see the point of thinking about aging whatsoever, because aging is just a thing that, you know, it's not meant to be so deep in the mind. When you go to a new age, it's like it's just a number. It's just a number. But don't let the new ages in your life change who you want to be. excuse me. Sedition, I'm still mad jealous you've seen Fear Factory, but I did spoil myself seeing that set list since they're not touring in my city, and boy, that set list is godly. Yeah, their set list was really, really good. Perfect beginning, middle, and the end. It could not have been as a perfect finale to finish their set with Resurrection. It's incredible. Now there's news about Fear Factory making the first album with Milo involved. When I wrecked my voice, I called his name out as Milo, but the Italian way is Milo. Zach Hurley, Jay leaving Slipknot's been a bummer for me, to be honest. I'll miss him a lot. Yeah, I've talked about what's been going on from my experience with the fan base earlier before you came on here, Zach, which personally I don't want to go into again because that was the last time to talk about it and how I think about people when it comes to over exaggerating and overreacting and yet furiously increasing unnecessary disliking hate. But I think Jay deserves better than this. Deserves better than Slipknot. Zach, D Productions. How's it going, Zach? I'm at work right now, but I thought I'd stop by. Yeah, great to see you. How's things with you, Zach? Sedition, but seeing Tool was a treat. One of the best concerts I've been to in a long time. And one of the greatest visually appealing performances that made me think why I enjoyed Tool so much. Tool were fantastic live. The visuals were perfect as well. Zach, again, yes, some of the fans were just horrible to the Venom drummer, I think he was. It's now confirmed Venom Inc.'s drummer is not involved in the audition list for Slipknot. As Corey did point it out, it's not him. He's not 666. But yeah, at least that's cleared up. And I hope the fans will just move on from that, which they will. But how's things with you, Zach, D Productions? What's your work? If you want to answer that, because I am curious. Sedition, forgot to mention that Steal This Album celebrated 21 years yesterday. Yes, Steal This Album is one of my most favorite albums, metal albums of 2002. And it is personally still my second favorite System of a Down album, their most underrated work. I won't be going on for a full 2 hours, but I could probably leave a bit earlier than usual. At least this stream has been running so much smoother and better than the last live stream, when it just keeps cutting out the disconnection. Oh, that pissed me right off. But yeah, this is still a really good view to see the regulars, and I could probably do a bonus live stream for the next month. But it depends what I am going to do. Maybe a Hangout stream or a live music Q&A We haven't done another one of those for a very long time. Oh, head. I'll have to work my way around that because I will be busy and gigging quite a lot. Sedition definitely shoot me a message in regards to the albums of 23 list, and so I can finalize everything before I make it official. Will do. Music Q&A is best Strong Boys streams. Okay, we'll do that then. A live music Q&A for one date in December. I'm going to drink some more water. I'm going to bring a glass of water with me. Be right back, guys, but ask me anything. Any improvements or content you want to experiment on YouTube for 2024? I've been thinking about doing a few types of like guitar content. I've mentioned this previously. I think around closely to the summertime from this year. At the moment of taking taking a break from reviewing new albums, I addressed that. But I actually have not done that yet. I haven't done the guitar content stuff yet. Mindful28, great to see you, as always. The stream's been great. I had to cut the stream from the first nearly 10 minutes into the stream because I had a phone call and I had to end the stream. That's now up on my channel. I kept that because I've displayed the albums I've purchased and a TV series I've been looking into I've purchased. But this is just a general Hangout stream. Talked about some things that I've experienced from what's been going on with my recent videos around the fan base of Slipknot and movies. The interest to come back to talk about movies on my channel. And this point here where I am going to maybe do a bit of guitar content, maybe more than a bit. Yeah, I'll put it there. My throat is so sore and dry. I think I'm gonna wrap this up in about nearly 20 minutes. I know you've just tuned in here, Mindful28. But if you want to see what I've said earlier, you can scroll to previous moments. So I do feel better to move away and move on permanently around the Slipknot fan base bullshit. Sedition again. I also got around hearing one of Deep Purple's live albums the other day, and I was very impressed. On well recorded, it sounded that almost made me giving it a positive score. Which live album was it? Sedition. Slipknot's fans can be obsessive and toxic. I say this as a long-time fan of the band. 100% there, Mindful28. Besides, there are bands who I love with, to me, aggravating fan bases like Pantera, Slayer, and yes, I think Tool fans as well. I agree. Sedition again, live in London. I haven't heard that one yet, since it was recommended by a follower of mine who's a big classic and progressive rock fan. I haven't heard that one yet. Made in Japan, though, that is one of the greatest live records ever made. Top 3 live albums. Made in Europe, by the way, is, to me, almost just as brilliant. That's a very good live album in itself. I think it's made in Europe. I actually have it on vinyl, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, made in Europe. That's from the mid-70s era. And it does have some songs from the Stormbringer album, and as well as with the Burn album. And I don't get the mixed responses because I think Made in Europe is really, really good. Mindful28, Pantera's fan base has gotten worse since the so-called reunion. To me, it's not a reunion without Diamond Vinny, since they were the founding members. Yeah, I still don't think it's a Pantera reunion. It's like a celebration. So, yeah, my opinions are still the same. Sorry about that. Facebook notifications. Yeah, I don't think it's a Pantera reunion to accept Pantera at this state. The heart of the band has always got to be with the incredible technicality and rhythmic to versatility and magnetic performances of the brothers. The Abbott brothers defined Pantera. Ay. Right. If there's any more questions you guys wanted to ask me, then be my guest. Besides what I've been saying throughout these different words, these different views around things, excuse me, I think it's just been an amazing gift to be with any of you guys who has been with me since a long time. I know there's been some who had been with me since the start, but regulars do matter as well. Mindful28, have you given Autopsy's new album a listen? I have not. I have not listened to the new Autopsy record. I'm gonna catch up and listen to some more new albums. I am going to be checking out the new Cannibal album, the Tomb Mold album, The Enduring Spirit. That's probably, for me, my favourite death metal album of the year. Sedition, any genres you like to implement on future videos? I know you showed an album by Tyler, the Creator, but it would be awesome to see varieties like that, since I enjoy experimentation in creators. I'm thinking about getting into more of the post-rock genre, and build maybe an ambient collection, because a lot of the ambient albums that I own are Brian Eno, because, not just because I'm a fan of Eno, although I do love a lot of his work, the ambient music genre is, to me, is a distinctive genre within itself, and I do want to grow my own collection of the genre. So post rock and ambient, um, I need to come back to jazz fusion and psychedelic rock. But yeah, I do would love to be in the mindset of bringing something that will surprise people, implementing people for newer videos, and it's something that I think a lot of people could be doing. Because we love the same stuff all the time, but it's never too late. Never ever too late to explore. Mindful28, are you a fan of MF Doom? Yes, I do. And Mad Villainy is one of those incredible albums, and yet alone MF Doom was a gifted and well-deserved, respected artist. I haven't listened to MF Doom for a very, very long time now. Speaking of different videos, I'm thinking about doing a video on one band who I've mentioned more than a couple of times. A band that has definitely been the biggest surprise for me as a music listener. As time went on, I felt a forwarding fascination through the adventurous directions to this creative detailing and profound progression of this band that I have always cited as one of my favorites, but they are now, well, since the past year and a half actually, that I've been growing to love and call these guys one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't want to say it here because I'll keep it as a secret. My list of 23 is very promising and a return to form from the 21 list ever since I have more free time as a writer independently. I cannot wait to show everyone what I have to offer to the video. Yes, me and Sedition Through Scorns are going to be doing the video together of our favorite albums of 2023. Mindful28, Slow Dive's new album was surprisingly good. I loved a lot of that album. That's one album that will be in my collection. It's one of those on my wish list. I think my top favorite albums of the year are like the perfect rankings. The perfect rankings that suits me the best. I am looking forward to do it. I'm thinking about doing the video before Christmas Eve, because with the gigs I've got to do, there are some that I really do want to focus on, because with my job as a musician, they'll have to come first, obviously. It could be in the middle of December, so me and Jake will have to plan around that. Excuse me. So, nearly 10 minutes left into the wrapping up part. But this was fun, as always. I am pleased there's barely any issues that have been going on in terms of the connections through the internet. And besides that, I had to end my stream earlier. But nevertheless, I really do think live streaming on this channel does hold a big privilege to send from me to you guys. I always do think about saying the same things over and over and over again around the same experiences and expressions, but there's no denying, there's no reaction from me to you that I think live streaming's not fun at all anymore. Live streaming does show and display the actual person, not just a content creator, but it shows the actual true self of who I am. That is one thing that a lot of people will have to think about. Yes, video making is fun, but once you really get to know who these people are, it does make this experience so much better. Anything else you guys want to address? You know, how have you been feeling? Sedition, again, live streaming is basically like a podcast. The conversations of followers engaging naturally is much more compelling and driven in a sense. They make you feel like you're doing something wonderful. I think that's what you meant to say. Wonders. Yeah, that's really the whole point of doing a live stream. I am going to think about returning back to Twitch because it's been too long. It will never be as a consistent, a constant flow, a constant flow of doing streams like what I am doing here on my YouTube channel. But Twitch has been one of my favorite platforms that I do enjoy. I want to keep trying and do some streams there. Mindful28, the new Cannibal Corpse album is really good. New Cattle Decapitation is my favorite death metal album of the year. That one is very close. Terrorsight is one monster of a record, just like the others. But the album here did surprise me through some more surprising changes around the way of writing the band did do on the new album. I think Tomb Molds, The Enduring Spirit, or Terrorsight by Cattle Decapitation are my favorite albums of the genre of the year. But yeah, I'll have to plan this whole list out. Sedition says, now I'm curious what Strong Boys' #1 album is. Yeah, I'm not telling you guys. Not yet. It's probably going to surprise some people, but for some who are fans of bands who I love, it wouldn't be. The only thing is, my list and Jake's list is going to be very different and as I think bigger, because we've went into different styles, and pardon me, that is an important one to make a list of new albums that you can love one genre or the other, but it would not hurt at all to expand. Mindful 28, Tomb Mold's new album is really good. Have you given the new Horrendous album a listen? I haven't heard of Horrendous. I mean, Horrendous with the new record did get some good reviews. I'm planning to listen to some more albums in different genres, some experimental, some maybe some newer art, pop art style albums. And I am so looking forward to talk about Peter Gabriel's new album I.O., which is finally going to be out on the 1st of December. Peter Gabriel is one musician I can absolutely go on about. Sedition through Scorns, again, too many albums, yet small time. That's how us listeners of music can only digest minimal amounts of albums. That's the hardest part. When an album you think is great, but you haven't digested it enough, and then you have a shit ton of other albums to listen to, you know, that's the pain in the ass. There's just so many great music that it's sometimes impossible to make like the definitive list. When I did my re-rankings for Metallica, not re-rankings for Metallica, my re-rankings for Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, those were definitive list rankings. But yeah, with Metallica's discography ranked, that was, I will say that's like my definite ranking. Mindful 28, are you familiar with Dave Matthews Band? Yes, I am. I'm not a big listener of that artist's band stuff, but I do respect the Dave Matthews Band. And with that, I am going to think about leaving it here. So, cheers to you all. Much love. And I do appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for your generosity, your dedication, and to stick with me with what I've been saying earlier in the stream to the videos I've done recently. Sedition Through Scorns to Hunter, the Country Boy, Southern Boy, RJ, CJ Rock, Midnight Social, Blackwater Rust, Mindful 28, Zach D Productions, and Zach Hurley. It's another really fun stream. And happy birthday tomorrow to Zach Hurley. Let your birthday be a wonderful time. I'm not sure if I am going to be doing a live stream through earlier or later of December, but in the middle of the month, Jake and I are going to do our list of our top 20 favorite albums of 2023. Variety matters, opinions matter, and let your own true self be the most important thing. To let you be yourself. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. Even dealing with assholes on the internet. Mindful 28. Now, this was a great stream. Take care, Greg. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mindful 28. So, thank you guys for watching. And as always, I will keep you guys posted for more videos and streams in the near future. Sedition Through Scorns, it's been a pleasure seeing you streaming today, and we'll keep in touch for the collab. And thank you again for being yourself. Anytime to Jake and to you guys. So much love. Look after yourselves. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the last stream, whenever that may be, for 2023 before the new year. Peace and love. Thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. And keep it rocking.